Yo, 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 what's going on, guys? Rhys here from Stoic Pool, and this is kind of episode 2 of, as of yet, still unnamed, unofficial SPO kind of podcast, I guess, at this point, which is kind of awesome. We've got Brun, Mint, A-Mint, Astra, Nasec, and Cards with us today. So I'm just going to go around. You guys introduce yourself, starting with George.
Hello, I'm George Barbosa. I run the pool Brun. I've been here since the Chile launch, and hoping to get involved in environmental activism through Cardano.
Awesome. And then A-Mint.
Hi guys, my name is James. I am the stake pool operator for Maximum Mint, ticker A-Mint. I do educational videos, and actually I do a lot of outside marketing to onboard businesses into the Cardano ecosystem. So that's my primary focus.
Awesome. Astra?
Hello, my name's Andrew. I run Astra Stake Pool, ticker Astra. I also make YouTube videos that I put out every few weeks or so.
Awesome. And Cards?
Hi everyone, my name is Maria Carmo. I run the Cards Stake Pool. I'm also in the back of Maria Carmo's channel, Lovelace Academy, and Cards. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, that's all right. And Nasec, you're up.
Good afternoon all. My name is Alex. I run the Cardano Stake Pool NASEC. And I make a few YouTube videos on the security and cybersecurity elements of Cardano.
Awesome. Right, guys. So as I said, this is going to be super informal. I don't know if you guys watched the one previously. I personally kind of just wanted to talk about everything going on around Cardano because there's loads of stuff happening at the minute. Were any of you guys involved with the World Mobile Airdrop? Did anyone else get onto that? Or
I didn't.
Sorry.
It's okay, guys. Carry on.
Go for me. Yeah.
No, sorry. I just have an amazing interview in my channel that I post with the CEO of that project. And I think the way they're doing it is very smart. They're connecting to the fiber that China laid down a few years ago, and they are connecting the end of it and expanding the reach of the connection, if you want to check out.
That's a great idea. There's a lot of fiber infrastructures that are set up that aren't being used, and I think that's a great idea. Vegas has something like that too. I know a guy that has been working on the fiber lines, and I ask him all the time, what are you guys running? And he's like, we're not running anything on these fiber lines, but they're throughout the entire city, and we're not using them yet. So that's interesting to hear that they're using fiber lines to expand. I wonder if they're going to do something like that here someday.
That's crazy. I kind of had an idea of what World Mobile was doing, but I didn't really know much about it. It's really cool that you could actually inform us on that, Maria, because I knew what's going on, kind of, and I'd heard about it from the 360, and I'd watched some little videos, but I never had a proper explanation of actually what they were doing. I just put on the shortlist for the airdrop, and when it came, I was like that. Basically, that was me.
Nice.
I actually had a strange experience with World Mobile because I think I got some bad feedback from some people whilst I was watching it, and I heard they were involved in 5G. And a while back on Reddit, there was a post saying, "Oh, I'm so excited for World Mobile," and my immediate response was, "Don't know why." It sounds like an awful idea to me. 5G, wireless WISP, basically. Not so sure. Coming from a WISP background myself. So they actually responded to me. Well, World Mobile actually took the time to respond, and I was quite surprised. And they said, yeah, we're not doing 5G. Let's be really clear. That is stupid. But yeah, they seem like an interesting last mile solution for ISPs or as an ISP in Africa. I don't know what sort of issues they're going to have. They're doing a lot of point-to-point links by the looks of things. Looks like they're just utilizing standard, Ubiquiti MikroTik sort of 5 gigahertz links. And I'm kind of concerned to see they're deploying near water, etc. So they're going to have issues with radar. I don't know. I've worked with wireless links a lot in my life, and I have a lot more time for fiber. So I think their biggest challenge is going to be that last mile, that sort of actually getting access to people in the on the ground.
So this is for cell phone, or this is for internet, correct?
It's for internet, yeah.
Yeah, this is for internet. So what's going to stop Elon Musk with Starlink to come in and just provide internet with a simple $90 satellite from any location?
100%. So I was talking, one of the responses in Reddit was, oh yeah, doesn't Starlink solve this whole problem anyway? And I was like, well, yeah, it does. And the World Mobile people agreed. They said yes, but it's really expensive. So what these guys are trying to do is they're trying to do wireless hotspots. So think your standard, you show up in an internet cafe, give your details, potentially pay in certain situations, and then you get internet access. And they're just trying to blanket areas with this coverage. And so basically their thoughts are it's going to be a much lower cost point of entry, whereas Starlink is going to be much more expensive. And I had mentioned at the time, and they've said that, yeah, they could consider Starlink as transit data, so their own uplinks to the internet. So yeah, that's quite interesting.
That would be interesting if they were to create like little hubs that had Starlink access, and then they did the network to distribute the data through.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Exactly what they're looking at.
So
I think that way it'd be a lot faster to implement as well, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Lower cost, faster to implement. But again, it's interesting what restrictions are out there in Africa. I'm not so aware. Here in the EU, we've got a few unlicensed bands. We've got the 60 gigahertz. We've got 70, 80 as semi-licensed, and then 5 and 2.4 as completely unlicensed. Just do what you want, pretty much.
This is interesting. I just looked up the Starlink cost, and it shows, you're right, I was on the initial list because I signed up like 2 years ago. And for $90, I get a dish. But the hardware looks like it's $500 now. So that is getting expensive for people.
Not only that, you've got the caps as well. So they've got data caps, which in this day and age, yuck. And
have that.
Yeah, no, exactly. They've also got some other issues.
As the network gets bigger, it's going to get faster as well. It's just really early on. I think we're going to have to just deal with sluggish, integration.
It's quite heavily subsidized, as I understand it, as well at the moment, and it's not going to be so subsidized across the rest of the world, as I understood.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Alex. The latency with Starlink there's a slight delay in transmission as opposed to the fiber optic.
Yeah, I was absolutely fascinated by this because that was my impression immediately, and apparently I was wrong. They're showing like 30 millisecond latency to some speed test servers. To be honest, I'm one of those people. I'd rather see it myself before I start believing it. But apparently the latency is sufficient, and jitter sufficient for VoIP calls such as this streaming. It's shockingly impressive.
I pulled up a data speed test right now, and it looks like the latency consistently is ranging between 17 and 21.
That's amazing.
That's good.
Really good. Yeah.
I was in the area ballpark of 90. That's what I saw.
Yeah. This is new. I just pulled it up right now.
The question Google is, where are they measuring to? Like, where is that speed?
Sure, this is in the United States. Yeah.
There's variables there too. Yeah, of course. But what's really interesting is this is the initial launch, and they say as more and more satellites come online, that's going to go away. So we can see a lot of improvement coming here.
It's amazing.
What's that?
I don't understand how that can work. That's incredible.
Aren't these satellites? They're closer than the normal satellites, right? So if you think of how all internet is distributed, if you just happen to live in the area where Qualcomm is or where the internet provider is, you're getting that, but you're still ultimately getting it from a satellite broadcast that comes into the building, and then that's distributed out through the network. So it always comes from the satellites, but these satellites, Elon Musk satellites, they're only 500 miles up. So it's actually supposed to be a very, very quick way of accessing internet compared to the systems that have been in play before. So I see a lot of improvement coming. It's just going to take them a long time to get enough satellites in the air for it to really do what it's supposed to do, I think.
Just a question from Maria. Maria, what was it like when you interviewed the person from World Mobile?
Well, they explained to me the extra tour they will lay on their project, that is this fiber, and I thought it was very positive. If we think about, we take everything for granted where we live. Oh, it's not, it's less capable as my own internet at the moment, all this and that. But imagine who has nothing, no internet, no latency. This latency thing doesn't even matter for who doesn't have internet, if they could have anything. But it was very positive interview.
That's so true, Maria. The only reason that I was concerned about latency was for being able to establish VoIP calls. Literally, the only concern is that basically if you have a lot of jitter, your packets will arrive out of order and lots of UDP streams will just break the entire protocol. So it wouldn't enable them a full internet service like it would between you and me. But yeah, no, it certainly seems like it's going to be capable of that.
It's exciting to connect the world to the internet, or at least that group, because it's going to cause a lot of infrastructure development, education, communication, internet jobs. All of those things can grow within those ecosystems that never existed before. So potentially it has a lot of room for growth, which is really great. I'm excited about it.
Maria, perhaps you're the best person to answer. Why is this? So I understand they've done this airdrop. So is this just a standard last mile internet service provider who's receiving funding through Cardano? You know, what is their tie into Cardano?
I have to be honest, I don't know what is the tide of Cardano. I knew that Charles Hoxton did an interview with the team yesterday and they kind of went in a partnership, but I haven't had the chance to check the interview. But I think from the beginning they are doing with their phones, but I just didn't find yet what they are talking about in this interview. But I think something else happened there, news, because the video was everywhere, but I didn't watch yet.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, because like it's something that I've just put money into, but it almost seems like from one side that it's just a round of funding to help them implement the things that they're after, and whether or not there's any real utility to the token. It almost, the thing is, a lot of these projects kind of come out as tokens or like as a cryptocurrency now because it's like fashionable and it's an easy way to kind of achieve any funding really. But yeah, it's quite good that you guys actually knew so much about it, because I've just learned loads. I've just learned loads about it. So yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to need to check out that video. I haven't seen it either. Be interesting to see. I find with these kind of things that you have to watch everything, because every time they leak out like a tiny little bit more information and a little bit more, and you need to kind of sit there through the whole thing to actually find out all the information that you're after. And it's very hard to sift through a lot of the times. But there's loads of other stuff that's also being built on the ecosystem as well. Like, have any of you guys checked out the Meld project? Is it Meld project, like their DeFi thing with their like negative interest loans?
I've seen a lot of pools lose delegators to them. That's what I've seen, but I haven't really gone into the project itself. I just think it's a bit weird.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, isn't Meld paying in tokens?
Yeah, so they have
They pay you in 6 months'
tiers.
time.
I think they've got like different tiers, because I think they have a couple of pools, don't they? Like, I think there's like an imposter Meld 4 come out recently. I saw on Twitter, so that's what kind of put it on my radar. I was like, what is Meld? Like, but basically, it's like another DeFi platform. But they're doing like liquidity pools, and they're doing like a swap, but they're also doing different kinds of loans that they. I saw an interview with who's the guy from Australia, like Ozpool. Is it? Do you guys know who I mean?
AAA, is it?
No. I think he does. He has like a podcast.
Oh, Aussie Pool, yeah.
Yeah. He had an interview with one of the guys, and it actually seemed really interesting. Like the things they can put loans out on, like they've got a loan that pays itself back or something like that.
Yes.
It's really cool. That I'm interested. At first, I was like, oh, it's another DeFi thing. Like, yeah, we know what that's all about. But actually, when I saw the interview, it seemed really interesting. But their pools, they've got a couple of tier pools from what I established from that call, which some of them have like a 25% paid out in their Meld token, and one's like 80 or 75% in their Meld token, which I'm not sure is actually launched yet. But like one of you guys just said, they're going to be releasing in a couple of months as like an airdrop to people who have been staking. And I think that's how they've grown so fast, and kind of why people are losing delegators to them.
Yeah, they're an interesting group. Now, take everything I say with a pinch of salt. I haven't looked into their actual app because their actual app obviously doesn't exist right now. However, I did look into the people behind Meld, and they all worked for a software company for 4 years-ish that didn't have a website until 2 years into that 4 years. And there were about 10 of them. They all worked for that same software company. And that software company doesn't have a website or a phone number. And it then another stake pool operator, good guy, he reached out to them and said, do you have any examples of some open source code or any code that your team has written and can provide as evidence of your capabilities? 3 pull requests were provided. One of them was an increase of an index. One of them was some JavaScript API, just like a tiny change. And another one was another very slight change to the Plutus the Plutus scripts, that exercises that Cardano have been putting out. So quite frankly, looks like a scam to me. It's the honest truth. Looks like an absolute genius scam. You've conned these people in 6 months of maybe getting a worthless token if they hang out for 6 months, in exchange for guaranteeing that they're going to be receiving, for every fully saturated pool, you can say about 20,000 ADA every 5 days, every epoch. So that's what, 20,000 ADA times 5 days into 6 months. You know, they're going to be making a fortune, guaranteed.
A lot of money.
Oh yeah,
there's an opportunity here, guys. There's definitely an opportunity here.
And not only that, but they're Vietnamese, which don't to consider me anything bad saying that, but they have a lower cost of living there. So it's a lot more money in Vietnam. So there are programmers who have no public evidence of their capabilities. They've all seemingly worked for a company that has no evidence of really existing. And they have no evidence of beyond a tiny few pull requests, which heck, even I've made more impressive pull requests than that. That's saying something.
Sorry, what is the name?
Meld.
Sorry?
What is the name of the project you're talking about?
Meld.
Meld. Okay.
Meld.
So I'm looking at their GitHub right now, and they haven't touched anything for 4 months. Mm-hmm. I think they made a Twitter adjustment change, no code adjustment 2 months ago, but everything else is 4 years out.
Yep.
Like they haven't touched anything. Like there's no activity on this GitHub this is what they're putting on their website as where they're being active for the Meld project. So that's actually, I guess that is a red flag. Wow. Good catch, Alex.
As soon as you dig into their actual personal LinkedIn pages, which, apparently I've got too much time on my hands.
No, I think it's right.
You're a private investigator.
It needs to be done. You know? Like you think people are actually like they potential to make a lot of money and kind of building projects. And we all know crypto is full of scams. So it's one thing I love about the kind of Cardano community is everyone like is investigative. If I can get that out of my mouth, like people do take it upon themselves to actually go and find out and like. But I love it. It's great. I had no idea about that at all. So that's kind of changed my. That's a red flag for me as well. from someone who about 5 minutes ago was quite excited to learn more about this thing, just to find out that actually there might not be anything there to follow up on.
So far, there's a website. That's what you got, a website and 3 pull requests that just about anyone in the Plutus Pioneers thing could continue with or could have made, as far as I'm concerned.
Are you out for hiring if I need any investigation? Paying ADAs?
No. I
ADA.
think we just found our niche, guys. We need to investigate these projects and talk about them every week, see what's good and what's not.
What about is it Revolut? The subscription management service.
Revolt. They do as a subscription service. They have a proposal on Catalyst. They withdraw the proposal because they got enough money to subsidize themselves in the first selling. I think they have 1 or 2 sellings already, and was really, really good.
Oh, wow.
I got involved with their launch. I bought 500 ADAs worth of, I think it was 500 or 500 euros. But I'm reluctant to get involved with projects until they've gone the 4 months or 6 months in successfully. Like Alex says, there's a bit of suspect there when you're just offering a white paper or a concept, and there's no backup, no GitHub repository information. There's no, it's something that we should be informing our delegators of.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the things that I love and I think is very risky about Catalyst, because like the Catalyst things just got announced and like it was 54 or 56 projects got funded. And I remember looking through a lot of those projects and not a lot of people were actually going for a substantial amount of funding. Like there were loads of projects that were between 5 and 10 grand, like, which that doesn't seem like a lot of money to me. Like surely projects take a lot of work, right? It's not just like it's not like a couple of days or like a couple of weeks for a few guys to do that kind of work. And you think they'd be more substantial. I also think it's quite difficult to vet a lot of these projects when they just put proposals through. Like, I don't think there's a lot of people who really look into the people behind the projects as well a lot of the time. And I think it's really important. And I think it would be good for maybe not, it's difficult to just say IOG need to do this, but like, I think it's difficult to implement, but it's very much worth actually finding out a lot more about the people who are putting these proposals through, because some of the stuff I thought was a bit thin when I was looking through the Catalyst proposals. I don't know how many of you guys really pay a lot of attention to that. But it was astounding. Yeah. I thought it was going to be like, I thought there was going to be much more quality proposals, like implementation of stuff. And I felt a little bit disappointed, to be honest. I felt a bit let down by everyone.
Yeah, honestly, I've noticed that I hang out in Catalyst all the time. Like it's always up on my browser and I'll be flipping through projects. In fact, I was looking at one today on a free payment system, which looked really interesting. But that is the biggest problem is how do we develop a system or integrate something into Catalyst where we can initially look at the project and vet it as this is potentially valid or this really does ring like either it needs more work or it's just not a valid project. Because I don't want us giving our treasury money to scams. I mean, that's a huge hole that we probably should really work on fixing.
It's really important that it is done right. It is really important. And it's great that it's happening. I absolutely love it. Fantastic idea. It's being done. It's not just an idea, like it's actually happening, but it's like, who do you pin that on? Like the big issue with the decentralization is the policing of it. And it's not that everything should be policed, but I agree with you. They've got a massive treasury that's going out to people. And I could potentially just submit a proposal and be like, yeah, I'm going to do this thing. And as long as I can answer people's questions when they have the kind of round of back and forth between where stuff's vetted just on the website, it doesn't seem like a lot is into the individuals and the team behind the project as much as it might need to be. And it's hard to know how much is needed, but I think we're going to find before the end of the year, there's going to be like at least one scam project that kind of gets funded.
There's many
than that, buddy.
projects. There is many projects that got funded. There's our record, 53 proposals. The advisors don't have to go through the background of the proposal itself. It's up to the proposal present, as I present who I was, what I was doing in the community, where I came from, what was my background, as I did that for my partners. So it's really up to the cast to give that stars. When the people goes to vote, they give the star that's from 1 to 5, and it's how close your proposals answer the challenging. And what I see a lot, because I'm Catalyst since last year, since there was no money there, since Fund 1, okay? What I see a lot, people say, I have an idea, and they throw that idea on a Ideascale, and they forget about it. You know, so if you're watching us and you want to go to Catalyst, it's 2 months of very intense work, because community wants to ask a question, the community wants to know where you come from and where you're going to bring it to actually work. So it's more or less what's happened there. I know maybe we should make more checks, but it's up to us as a community, maybe bring this up to the people that take care of Catalyst.
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. I completely forgot you've been through the entire process. Like Fund 1 seems like so long ago now. I know it was only like Christmas basically, wasn't it? But it seems like so long ago.
I know.
Oh, that's well exciting. How is everything coming along with your project? Sorry, Maria, to put you on it now, but I'm just interested.
The project is, what's happening is, I think I was talking to my partners. We came early in the fund, and the network isn't ready for what we want to show. If I do a class today and I want to do a class in a month later, when everything going to be work like 1 month more than a month in September, everything will change. So what I was trying to do is to keep it all for the last, so we're gonna release the most updated episodes ever. Because as I mean, and also we are backing up everything by writing. Keith, this is my partner, say that's very important to back all the code in writing. So actually, if I miss something in video, I can see what I was doing in the code. So I think gonna be very exciting. Keith and Sweet are really working hard. Sweet is an Alonzo Testnet thing. So there's loads of news to come out. Just get tuned in Lovelace Academy.
Is there a way we can actually sign up? Like now, I know you're saying that there's not a lot of stuff out, which I completely understand.
Yeah, the channel is alive. I keep putting interviews there, interesting interview with the people in the community. And I think we have in 2 months, 700 followers. Is growing. But I think when we come on very strong on Plutus and malware, I think we'll grow a lot more.
Yeah. Could you send me a link? Because I'll put that in the description of the video. And that way we can promote it a bit as well for you.
Sure, no problem.
Awesome. Thank you.
Maria, wasn't one of your projects involving this idea of women in Cardano and their function? And I think you had a project in that role. Am I correct?
The first idea in Fund 1, when we are just preparing the groups, Telegram groups, preparing how we will lay out everything, there was no money. We helped the system to be built around this experiment, and there was no fund, so it was Women Effect. That will be a podcast from me and Sweeta where we'll talk about Cardano. But then in Fund 2, everything changed, where I needed to bring developers. So I did a twist. I brought Keith to the team, and I did a few twists around. So we're gonna deliver 50 episodes, 25 in programming, 25 in news. And the thing is, why I changed it, because after reading more about coding, learning about stuff, I just came to the conclusion that blockchain doesn't care about gender. Blockchain care about results, who you are. What are you doing here? How are you contributing? So why I take this theme a little bit off, but I think it's time to come back and work on women in blockchain, because I haven't been alone in every single meeting, guys. Sometimes I have another woman, but sometimes I am on my own, and I think these people need representation. They need to feel welcome here. So I will work in background on some activities where we could bring more women to the blockchain.
Okay.
Oops, sorry. There are a lot of like female SPOs now, or maybe not lots, but like there is a handful. Like there are some girls in Africa, there are some people like distributed around. But I can imagine, like I've been trying to get some SPOs on just for talks, like to help promote other pools. And it's difficult to get a lot of people on, because for a start, you're just randomly trying to contact people out of the blue, and like they're like, Alex, do you know what I mean? Like I was trying to get a hold of Alex for ages. I was like emailing the email, and it was like the wrong, don't know. I just couldn't get a hold of him. And I had to literally, me and one of my delegators were actively trying to like, mate, it was difficult. It's difficult getting hold of people. And some people aren't willing to be as forward facing for like privacy and security reasons, which I completely understand, or just aren't that comfortable on video, I hope you can turn that around, because I can only imagine what it's like when you're trying to organize calls and you're the only person that actually turns up for stuff. I really hope that kind of gets figured out.
So you should hang out more with me. Everybody wants to talk to me. So I just bring you on, invite people to be here with us.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah, definitely.
In every single meeting, in every single room. It's amazing.
So I'm going to continue my controversial vein, apparently, because this is a topic that I've had discussions with, and I feel like your response, Maria, has almost continued to confirm my potential bias. But there are seemingly a lot of women who are SPOs out there. And I say seeming because I'm doubting that those are the actual individuals behind the stake pools. It's very akin to, I don't know, the girls on Twitch, video gaming. It's sort of an allure, a way of attracting delegators. Would you say that that's actually the case, Maria, or am I being too harsh?
You're being very hard. I think very hard. There is women that actually do the code and actually run their pools. It upsets me too much that thing can come into your head that us as a human being couldn't be actually able to run a stake pool. It's a very upsetting. I hope we can correct it as we go along, because there is no difference in two human beings, doesn't matter what gender they're from.
Oh no, I completely agree. Some of the best engineers I've known have been women. But I felt that there was a surprisingly disproportionate amount. And I thought that hearing that, you're sat there by yourself on these meetings, I felt that was perhaps more confirmation that these are paid fronts. But glad to hear that I'm probably mistaken.
You've been left.
I just wish that we never have to talk about gender ever again, that everybody feel welcome and we sit in this room and we talk from equal to equal. It's all my dream.
Yeah, and it's not like I kind of understand what Alex was saying. Like, I don't think it was about any kind of gender bias or anything like that. I think it was more about just where you like, because there are a lot of girls who are very active on Twitter who have started pools, and it's I understand how that might question whether they're starting it because they have the technical abilities or whether they're just starting it because they have a following, which neither's wrong. It's not that anything's right or wrong. It's just a perspective. I think when it is just more asking the question about from someone who actually is doing that work.
Yeah, the thing is, loads of people, not just girls, boys as well, exclude everybody, is starting pools. They have no idea what is to run a pool. They don't know the cost, they don't know the profit, they don't know who they have to pay for, they don't know about security, and it's very tough game. But everybody's playing their own game. Let them go.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like when I started my pool, I mean, I've already said to a lot of these guys before, but when I realized that it was something I could do, I basically made it my full-time job to understand everything that it took to run the pool before I started it. And I've got a lot of people, even people in this chat now, to thank for actually helping me out a lot with just silly mistakes I was making or things I didn't notice when I was putting the pool together. So it's definitely not that someone might be more definitely people are more competent. People are definitely more competent than me, or at least they were when I started. Now I feel like I very much know what I'm doing with it, but definitely when I started, it was just an entire learning experience. That's half the magic of it, though. I think it's definitely half the fun of it.
So Alex,
Sorry.
Are you suspicious that some of the female SPOs are actually being represented by males? I'm asking Alex.
He's implying
Accessories
that as a man that's running the pool, the girl is just doing the marketing stuff and a guy is running a pool. And I know many girls that run their own pool without no one to be behind. That's it. I just upsets me that these questions come up like we are not able to.
No, far from it, Marie. You clearly experienced a lot of bias in your life. It was not a question like that. Far from it. It was more a question of you yourself saying that you're trying to attract women into crypto, and yet you're sat there. You mentioned being sat by yourself on these meetings, and that's why I'm confused. Because where are these women SPOs? I would have expected them to show up.
Apologies, I got to your point now. The thing is, people come to Cardano from different doors. At the moment, everybody's attracted about running a pool. Is why we should this huge amount of people running pools, okay? But as they grow in Cardano, for example, I think Catalyst is an amazing place to be. There is other places to be, but they don't see it because at the moment it's this attraction to have this 340 ADAs every single 5 days. This attract people, but there is a lot of work to do. You know, it's not about only being a YouTuber or have followers that we actually make the business for yourself. There is many things behind it. Now I understand, yes, there is a way girls are stake pool, but they're not necessarily interested in the community to come to these meetings.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's what I was looking for getting explained to me, really.
Sorry,
Alex, there will be a case in my situation where there is a woman that wants to run her own stake pool, but she wants me to operate it technically for her. So I'm going to be guilty of what you're accusing some of the operators of. Maybe I can do an intro of the woman that is going to do this pool. Can I share a screen with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if I need to turn it on. I think probably.
Let's
Does anyone know off the top of
their
their head how to?
What George is describing, there are also very many men who do exactly the same thing here. My point was just solely based off of what Maria had previously said and some thoughts that I had.
Yeah. No, I understood what you mean. Like, but it might just be our accents, where we say stuff in certain ways, you know, like, and I understand why you'd think that. I know guys, like I've had people reach out to me to ask if I can run pools for them, like guys, you know, just people who are interested, who have heard of Cardano and it be a bit of a buzz in the news at some point, and then they're like, oh, that's a thing, I want to do it, you know, because like exactly like Maria said about just earning those tasty rewards. Gotta love it, you know.
Yeah. In my case, I have an environmental scientist who wants to have a pool run, and she wants to do her science. She wants to do her research. So she needs somebody to do the technical part. She'll do the community involvement in media and so on. She's somebody prominent. She was in a recent documentary by David Attenborough called Breaking Boundaries. She's one of the contributors. And she was involved in the Australian wildfires, saving cockatoos. So there is an argument for people to run pools for other people if they have a mission, a purpose that they need to dedicate more time to. It's a lot of work running a pool. Doing the social media too, sometimes you get involved with that for them. So yeah, there is an argument for supporting people who do this activity of helping other operators operate their pool.
I don't think there's anything particularly like inherently wrong with that either. You know, I understand like the way for people to get funding is obviously like very beneficial, especially if they want to do something like some people who run multiple pools set up like a charity pool rather than another personal one per se, and they use that for donations or something like that. And it's one of those things that's quite amongst SPOs is its own controversy, you know, like everyone has their own opinions on it and what's right and what's wrong. And it's so it's interesting just to hear everyone's perspectives on those kind of things, because like there are always reasons why something makes sense to do, like you're saying, for someone to get funded for their research. You can share your screen, by the way. I think I have it on, so you should just be able to do it. George.
I am on one of these persons that I don't run my own pool. I beg 5 guys in the community to help run my pool, and I get denied every single time until I got invited from my partner to have a stake pool. So the lesson is never give up. Doesn't matter who runs the pool. If you put your hands dirt in the thing or not, what's matter is what you bring into the community. The only thing you're going to do is run a pool because it has thousands of things to do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the operations side, I've said it time and time again, is the smallest part. The actually attracting delegation, having a purpose and showing that you care about something, that's the thing that takes all the time, like 90+% of the time.
All right. Should I show you this thing that I wanted to show you?
Bring it up.
It's on Netflix. Okay, you still disabled participating screen sharing, yeah.
I'm such an idiot.
I think you have to be a host. I think you might have to make George a host before he can do the screen share.
Oh, no, I've got it here. You think we'd know how to use Zoom by now, right, guys? Who can start sharing? All participants. There we go.
All right, let me see this one.
Delegate to Stoic.
Can you see my screen? Working?
Yes.
So this documentary is on Netflix called Breaking Boundaries. It's a David Attenborough production. And we have one of our scientists that contribute to this. Let me just find it.
Over the past.
There we are.
Daniela Tekera studies glossy black coral.
Can you hear it as well?
One of Australia's
a little bit.
Birds.
So this is a woman who would like to eventually also set up a catalyst funding project for one of these research projects that she does.
And so you can actually go up to them.
And I suggested to her to run her own stake pool because then she'll have a sustainable form of income. Because at the moment, let me just stop this.
Returned to one of her main study sites.
I just thought I'd just show you quickly one of the documentaries that she's involved in. Let me unshare my screen. How do I do that? Yeah.
Don't ask me.
I also don't know. How do I get out of this?
Just press the button at the bottom.
There it is. Stop share. There we are. I've got 3 screens, so I was looking at the wrong screen. I had to look at that one. And so what we're going to do for her is, obviously she's going to do her own social media. She has to find the delegators herself. One of the things that I want to do with Cardano, possibly with Catalyst, when it comes to that, is encourage environmental activism awareness, and using her as a resource almost, if I can use that as a word, to bring awareness to this idea, run a pool, and then get the funding for some of her projects. What many people don't know about some of these research scientists is that when they get funding from the government and they work with a university, half of the money that they get funded for, a large portion that goes to the university itself, because universities operate for a profit. In her case, her University of Queensland, they don't actually get much money to use for themselves. So it was my idea for her to run her own stake pool so she gets a sustainable salary, a form of income, to support her activism, to do this research into the extinction of species, in this case, this cockatoo and other activities, fish and so on. So this is somewhere we're going down. This is the road we are going down with my pool and her pool. I'll be supporting her. I'll be bootstrapping her as well, her pledge and so on. So there's a role for us. There's a role for this type of operator that uses a proxy. I thought I'd show you that.
Yeah, I think that's great, and half of the one of the most brilliant things about this is it can be as a tool for that kind of purpose. And you think if it is benefiting people, if like it's not just for selfish purposes, then why can't you assist? one thing I don't agree with necessarily is people offering stake pools as a service, though. Like one-off partnerships or even multiple partnerships is like okay, but just offering anyone to essentially buy or rent a stake pool off me, I think is a bit risky for the entire network. Like one person just managing pools for multiple people, just for money, basically, because when you do have work to do on a pool, there is work to do, even if it's just like updating, although it might not necessarily be a lot of work. It is time that you have to put in, and it can easily create, like sometimes there are little bugs. I've had problems before where I've updated a pool and then it's just like I've had to uncomment parameters and just test which ones to edit so that the pool started working again. And I've had conversations with like Astra, and I think that's how I first spoke to George as well, where I had that issue with one of the updates like ages ago, and it just, even though there was nothing wrong with it, it just wasn't connecting to one particular comment. So I had to go through and just try and change it. And if you have that across multiple pools, then you become a bottleneck for the network. And I think that could be risky, but I don't think there's anything wrong with assisting someone in their research, like in that way. And it kind of also highlights the differences between pools and the catalyst as well, because the sustained income thing is like a really good point about people who do need to have more money for projects. And it is a great option for people. Like it's kind of fascinating that it's even happening, to be honest with you. Like every day I seem to be a little bit blown away by Cardano. I think it's bloody amazing.
How many stake I have to run a pool at least to produce one block every epoch, in your opinion?
It's not really a guaranteed one every epoch, is it? I think they say 1.5 mil for like an average of one block per epoch, but I'm at 2.5 mil. I've had 8 block epoch. I've also had plenty of zeros, The randomness is like a real thing. It's a proper real thing.
That's 4K at 500, 1.5 million. When it goes to K to 1,000, I think it will drop to about 1 million.
Okay.
I think. Don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, 1.5 million is not that bad. In the beginning was way more. Remember this time, guys?
3 million, 2.5 million, just to get one block. I remember.
Yeah, I remember too. That was when D was at like 90%. Or the other way around.
I set up my pool in end of September. So I think I joined when D was about 86. I think it had started decreasing. So I don't know if I was part of that. Well, I definitely wasn't making blocks back then anyway. My first block was like 3 months into operating the pool. It was a very lucky day for me.
Hey guys, I've got a question for Alex. I just remember where I recognized them from. Alex, were you in the mid-monthly update, Cardano 360 mid-monthly update thing?
Yeah.
And I remember you talking about it. It was Tim Harrison who introduced you, and then you came on and you said you were talking about your experiences on the Alonzo testnet. How is the Alonzo testnet going, and how much RAM is it taking on your nodes? Because I'm very interested to see, because I don't know whether or not I should do an upgrade. I am planning to do an upgrade, but just not sure how much RAM to put on.
Good question. Bad answer, unfortunately. It's a small testnet, and therefore we don't have real world experience as to how much is going to be required in the future. Right now it's like 2 gigs, not even, for the Cardano node binary, because we're just processing so few transactions, even though we've reduced it to 1 slot per second. Yeah, 1 slot per second. It's just nothing. You can't compare, really. Having said that, for what it's worth, I noticed a while back that we're still publishing the minimum requirements at 8 gigabytes. And I noticed that my pool surpassed 8 gigabytes worth of RAM consumption, or nodes, all of them. So we've ramped up to 12 everywhere, relays and producer. And the other reason that I can't answer your question well is because Charles has the right attitude, which is great, which is he's going to do tuning at the end, or the team over there are going to do tuning at the end. So it's going to be reduced from whatever we've experienced now, and what we've experienced now isn't relative. So I'm sorry, Ad Astra, I just can't answer it.
Oh, that was a great answer. I never thought of it in the sense of that you guys are doing it on a very smaller scale at the moment in testnet, and therefore it doesn't require as much resources as when it's out in the real world. But it's interesting that you said that your nodes are using up more than 8 gigabytes, because mine are using up about 6 gigabytes, like 6, sometimes 6.2 gigabytes. And they're still producing blocks, still processing transactions, and then they're not breaking down. My plan is to move to all of my nodes to be 16 gigabytes before the Alonzo hard fork. Do you think that's enough, 16 gigabytes?
Yeah, I'm fairly confident that I'm very confident that you're going to be safe.
Is everything going smoothly? Is everything working? What's your opinion about the things you're seeing?
Wow, hard to answer questions. The testnet has gone smoothly. There were some points which we could have had to start from the beginning again, and reset the chain, go back from across the hard fork from Marion to Alonzo, but we didn't need to because everyone was very well organized during Alonzo Blue. We just got the job done, and all the exercises I was able to complete, which is saying something, should mean that anyone can complete them. That was for testing actual Plutus scripts on chain, which is cool to see. As far as, is everything working? No, because it's a test net. Otherwise we'd be released and it would all be sorted. But everything that's expected to be working so far is pretty much, and we're in a really good place. I'm surprised and happy.
Yay!
Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome. So we're moving into the next phase now, right? They just announced it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Alonzo White.
So we're ahead of schedule slightly, I guess. That gives us time.
On schedule, I would say.
On schedule.
Yeah. I remember them saying that you would move on to White around about this time, mid-July.
Yep.
Yeah, which if you think about it in the world of coding, on schedule is kind of like ahead of schedule because everything always falls behind, right? So that's amazing, I think. It's great planning. Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. It's going well at the moment. So the Alonzo White chain, I've invited my second buddy, as we call them. So now there's 3 SPOs that I'm personally very close with. Well, myself plus 2 SPOs that I'm close with on that network. It seems to be going very smoothly, very well. We haven't performed the Alonzo the hard fork combinator event to move into the Alonzo era for White yet. We've actually just retired our Alonzo Blue pool earlier today, so we'll be relaunching White. And I believe the hard fork combinator event is set for probably the end of next week, but dates are fuzzy in these things.
Are any of you guys planning on doing any Dapps or anything with the contracts once they're launched, or are you working on anything at the minute?
No. I was working on some stuff, but right now I'm just in triage mode to get more delegators to stabilize my income, and then once that happens, then I can get back to coding. Right now, all is marketing. That's all I'm doing is marketing.
I think in the future you need to go down that route to be a successful stake pool.
100%.
Our stake pools may become our own DeFi platforms. We can use our delegators' delegation as liquidity for some DeFi projects. These are possibilities for the future. And that's one way to stay competitive in the future with your stake pool. I don't know what's going to happen with stake pools that just do nothing, like mine at the moment. We are at the moment just static. You need to be inventive. You need to go ahead and do projects like that for the future. It's just a warning.
Yeah,
I think that's actually a really good idea.
I'm actually working with another stake pool operator with a project to kind of make delegation a little more interesting. I can't really reveal anything because we're trying to bank up more pools. In fact, I'll tell you guys about it later off camera. I've got a meeting with Spakra. We're going to kind of announce this thing and talk about it next week. But we want to kind of make a game of delegation and see if we can get more people attracted to smaller pools. And so I totally agree with you, George. If you don't come up with some sort of niche or creativity where you draw people in, I don't think a stake pool that sits there static is going to do very well in the future. I agree.
Yeah. So
the stake pool that we have nowadays, a traditional stake pool where it's just attracting delegators and giving rewards, is not going to be enough for the future. You have to have a project, or your pool becomes a liquidity source for a DeFi project, or you're a mission pool, like what we are going to do with environmental science. You can't just do what most pools are doing at the moment, just sitting there. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Some people are doing like NFTs at the minute, or like native
NFTs,
assets, aren't they? Because that's the kind of things that we can do at the minute. You know, I haven't personally done either of them, but I'm really interested to see what we can do with the pool. I know we can potentially stake other tokens as well, can't we? Or something like that. I remember hearing at some point. Yeah, but I agree. Like, we're going to have to
up the game,
get very creative. Yeah. Up the game. Exactly. Like, you think pools are coming in every day. Like, if there are new pools every day, you just look at like the feed on Pool Tool or ADA Pool, anything, and it just
goes to Alex's point about Meld. Okay, it's a bit of a scam, but they're doing something.
Yeah, and it's working.
Project making noise.
We're going to have more and more projects like that. Some of them will be more legitimate, but that's the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, ours isn't just to isolate our pool or my pool and try and make it great. It's actually going to be something that a lot of the stake pool operator community can participate in. And so, like I said, I'll announce it. But the ideas that I'm trying to work with are the ideas that kind of branch out and touch everybody, because we don't win if we pull everybody into one pool. We win when we teach people that there's a benefit to spreading your money out, and that it supports the network, and it's good for the network to act in this fashion. When I see pools that are like oversaturated with like 80 million on it or something like that, I'm like, these are clearly uneducated people on how this network is supposed to work, because nobody would be on a pool that's even close to 60. If they understood how delegation worked, how decentralization worked, how rewards issuance worked, they would be looking for smaller pools like crazy to try to get those initial high rewards. Like I said, my stake pool pulled like 10% this last epoch, and people are missing that. Smaller pools, they delegate those rewards to a smaller group, which means people get higher rewards initially when pools are not saturated. Yet we still see these pools with 80 million on them, 75 million. Yeah, and it makes no sense.
Higher, that's not true nor accurate, I don't believe. So if you are a smaller pool, due to the 340 ADA minimum fixed fee, you will be charging a higher percentage of fees as a fact.
In relation to how much you're distributing.
Exactly.
Right.
And therefore, you actually get worse rewards by delegating to a small stake pool. This is a really big topic. I was going to try and find a way to segue to it one way or another today.
But we did it.
Handed to you.
Let's talk about it. So how do we solve that? That's a huge problem, because if we're supposed to have a system that promotes the growth of small stake pools, and yet a small stake pool just won't deliver, how are we going to feed small stake pools? That's why we're all here. This is what we need to talk about.
Guys, you know, the epochs that we have to wait to start receiving rewards is the most hard subject I ever met to explain to someone. When you actually start to receive your rewards, I saw many infographics, but it's not even clear to a normal person in the streets to understand that. We need education. I was here since the beginning talking about education, but it's very tough subject because it's in our heads, because we understand that, but to make it transparent to another person that are listening is very tough.
Absolutely.
I just
So,
say
Alex-
I just say 15 to 20 days. You know, the day you start delegating, 15 to 20 days later, you're going to receive your first rewards if that pool mints blocks in that epoch. And then you receive rewards every 5 days after that. Yeah, sorry, I jumped in there. Alex, you were about to go on a not a rant, but you were about to say something about the topic that we were talking about before.
Not really. It's a topic of conversation among the small Discord that I run. I'd love for all of you to pop in there, by the way. It's full of SPOs and they're great people. We've made proposals. There have been SIPs to fix this. And one of the most simple SIPs to fix this problem immediately would be to just set the minimum fixed fee to 0. It would then mean that all pools charge just the variable fee. Now that's going to hurt people. And I know that some of you will be thinking, hold on, where's my 340 ADA and epoch going? But smaller pools, ones that want to compete, they why not? You know, why if, so Charles has regularly commented on the fact he runs rats on a Raspberry Pi from his office. So his internet's already paid for, assuming you were doing it from home, it would be. The hardware's cheap. Why do you need to charge 340 ADA and epoch to run that system? Now, I don't agree with running a world financial operating system on a Raspberry Pi from just because I'm a servers guy, so that seems wrong. But and also, yeah, unsecure. But what do you guys think? How would you feel about removing the 340 ADA minimum fixed fee?
In the SPO call about 2 weeks ago, they did mention they're going to drop the fixed fee. The fixed fee of 340 was calculated at a time when ADA was worth 10 cents or 20 cents.
Mm-hmm.
They are going to drop it. We know that. I'm open to it. I'm open to the idea of them dropping it down to 0, where then our profit will have to be measured by our margin, how much we charge on our margin. So initially, small pools can be competitive and charge 0, which will be good. That will be an advantage, but it's not sustainable. People will be sponsoring the network with their own funds, with their own money in the end, which might not be too good for the network.
But if you can run it,
maybe something to experiment, or just do 50 ADA or 100 ADA as a fixed fee, or do it fixed to a dollar value. That was the idea. They wanted to fix it to a dollar value. So the fixed fee would be a variable ADA amount fixed to, let's say, what it would cost, $200 an epoch to run a pool. Maybe do it at 200, which would be about 100 or 80 ADA. I'd agree to that.
Yeah, it's very hard to figure out like that kind of thing, because there are so many perspectives on it based on where you are on the. Do you have delegation? Like are you making pools? Like
cheaper? Yeah. So
it is tough. Like I went 3 months without making any blocks. So for me, that was just an expense for a couple of months, you know. And yeah, I was willing to do it. But it's understandable that someone coming in and maybe that's the barrier to entry, like how willing you are to pay out at the start, or like you like actually spend your money to be able to support the network. And it's everyone will have their own perspective on it. And for me, I think there needs to be some kind of fixed fee, because the race to the bottom exists in everywhere, you know, where there's that opportunity, everyone just will undercut each other at some point to which we do with 0% fees anyway. Like we're already doing that, you know, kind of like I've got a 0% fee. And probably most of you guys do as well, you know. It's right now people often measure like people have a deciding factor when they're picking pools, you know, and if it comes down to 2 and one has a 5% fee and one has none, like I know which I'd choose, you know, and not based on all other things being equal, like that does have an effect on your decision at some level. So it's very tough, you know, it's very tough. I think that dollar amount, like pegging it to something is quite difficult, like right now, but once we have the smart contracts and we can like deploy oracles properly, then that could be something that would work, right? That would be quite easy to implement, surely, from someone with the ideas and not the technical know-how on how to do that. You'd hope it was, you know.
So Ty, the stake operator's fee to an oracle that's always calculating price on ADA. And that way it'll adjust what you get paid based off of the price.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I think that's a great idea. It wasn't mine. Like George was just saying that guys were already putting that forward. I know this thing's been a discussion since it's been around, since they kind of launched. But I think everyone here will have a slightly different opinion on it.
I'd love to hear what people would feel about that, because it's a revenue stream for the node operator. So you're either going to have a job and watch your node whenever you can, or the node is going to pay your income and then you're full-time watching the node. So where do people want to invest? In a stake pool that has somebody constantly watching it and ready to go, or a pool that just pays for the servers and this guy's got to go work and go do stuff, and so when it crashes, I'll get to it when I get home, and so on. I don't know. I think there has to be a strong benefit for people to run the stake pools, but I also think people have to be educated on why people are charging what for the stake pools. Because if they're like, oh, well, I'm losing, 5% because this is a small stake pool, I don't want to lose 5%. Well, you're contributing 5% to keep the stake pool up and running securely, to have somebody on it 24/7. Which would you rather have? No fees, no nothing. The guy's just running the stake pool. You throw your money on it. It crashes. He makes no money on it. So he'll get to it when he gets to it. I'd rather have people that are like dying to make sure the stake pool is running, because for them it is a substantial, income, and it's important to them. I don't know about the loosely running, whole bunch of stake pools and not really making money off of it. I mean, that's why we're here to support the network. There should be some incentive for us, more than just the cost of the running of the servers, I think. That's my opinion. What do you guys think?
I think it's a hard topic it's a touchy topic to talk about sometimes. Right now the K parameter is set at 500. So the optimal amount what would be great for Cardano is if you had 500 pools that were near saturation. But what you do have is also competition from the other 2,500 pools. And so it makes it it makes it quite difficult to get exactly 500 pools that are near saturation. And if you were in one of the top 500 pools near saturation, you would be earning an amount that would allow you to focus on it 100%, or focus on it as your day job. And but then at the same time, you've got the smaller pools that are also trying to get in. So you see how you can't have one and the other at the same time. There's a clash there. I don't know what the answer is.
I wonder if, because this is so dynamic and new pools are coming in and other pools are getting established, I wonder if any of us would be here in a year's time or 2 years' time, because all it's going to take is a fleet of super marketing, business-supported pools that know how to look a lot more professional than the average stake pool operator, and they're going to windfall all of the delegators, because they will be able to market at an apex level. They will be able to keep their stake pools running, and if it's sponsored by a business, they can absorb the loss and cost. And so what we're going to see is larger entities entering, playing by the rules, and just dominating us with their professionalism and their persistent marketing and stuff like that. If the system remains the same, I don't know if all of us will be here in 3 or 4 years. Because right now there's a stack of professional businesses looking at this model going, how can we, capture this market? I would love to capture this emerging market. And that scares me, because I think the whole point of Cardano is to have the regular person supporting the network, even if we're not the best marketers or we don't have the best backgrounds or whatever. We're still supporting the network just like anybody else does. And it's an education thing, guys. We need to educate the public about why we're here, to prevent companies from coming in and saying, I can outmarket you, I can outrun your pool, I can do all of that, and I don't even need to get paid. I can just wait you guys out until you die, and then I'll come in and take the rest. And it's a scary topic. It really is something we should focus on. It all starts with education, I think.
And there is a mentality in the community from some people that not necessarily right, not necessarily wrong, but they want to do everything for free. You know, they would run the pool for free. They would put proposal catalyst for free. They would do everything for free. But my question is, the banking is coming on. I don't know if you see my interview with the Cardano Foundation CEO. He said the banking are coming, not specifically if they are open pools, if they are specifically staking, but they are coming. And when they are coming, if we still with this mentality that we don't know what we want and we don't know how we want, they will win all along. It's why it's important this meeting with us. Like, I have an entire different perspective from the community that is Catalyst and other pockets and bubbles. And you have all this spectrum of SPO. So it's good that we get together to inform each other what is going on, because run a pool is not the entire spectrum of to be in the Cardano community.
100%. Yeah. So I don't know. That's a topic I think that should be brought up. And I think we should try to preserve the SPOs and grow them. And I don't know how that comes off, because what about all the new SPOs that want to come in? And I just don't know how to do it. Should we just slowly bow out while more professionalism enters? Or have we earned a right to be here and be sustained? I don't know. I mean, it's a big question, guys, but I know what I do know is I don't have the master's degree in marketing and the studio with the high resolution 4K camera. I don't have that. And all it's going to take is people like that to come in and wipe us all out. And it shouldn't work that way. If you get my drift, it should be a network of the people by the people. I don't know how to make that stick. I don't know how to share that with people and educate them that we should be the ones that are continuing running the network. And I don't know. It's a tough question.
It's going to be really interesting when the big players do come in and start to try and run stake pools and dominate the marketing. What I find difficult to imagine as well is, like, say, for example, K goes to 1,000 or goes to 2,000 at some point in time, that there be 1,000 brands for stake pools, because 1,000 brands is just a lot. You're going to get lost in that. What I think is going to happen in the future is that stake pool operators will probably going to have to band together behind one brand. Like, say, 5 stake pool operators banding together behind one brand, and one of them's really good at marketing or YouTube, another one's really good at social media stuff, another one's really good at other things. And so they kind of work together underneath one brand rather than like 1,000, 2,000 individual stake pool operators. I don't predict the future. I can't predict the future, but I just feel that might be one possibility later down the line.
Would there be an alliance where, for example, if we were 10 pools and we have the marketing department, we have many departments for that group of stake pool, so we share the costs, but we also share the learning. How this come to play in your head? What do you think about it? We get together and make everybody strong in that line on where we connect to each other.
I think it's already necessary, isn't it? Like, realistically, it is, because you think, like, I mean, I'm at like 2.5 mil. You guys are probably, I think some of you guys are a little bit more, if I remember from our previous call. But I'm not sure if anyone here has a saturated pool. And you think about the actual pools who are successful right off the bat, other than people who did YouTube, you've got the guys who did Pool Tool, the ADA pools. You know, you got people who are already building stuff, who have a way of bringing people in and promoting their pool like together, even though they're all separate entities and essentially separate brands, that they're still bringing people from all areas all in together, and then using that to like promote, almost like kind of what we're doing here, where we have a couple of different SPOs on, we're all talking about our things. I'm going to have each of our tickers up. I'm going to have links to everyone's things on various platforms, but the people who are really successful are ones who are already building stuff or who already have stuff. And some of them have gone through funding, and like even groups and like are already forming, you know, there's not just the Single Pool Alliance, but there's like Dutch pools, you know, and charity pools and like there are other ones just for certain regions, like African state pools and stuff like that. Like this thing's already kind of naturally happening. And I think it's important for us to kind of get on top of that and build the network of SPOs right, like starting as soon as possible so that we can be prepared for that. You think most people's, the barrier to entry right now for most people is just getting enough ADA to be able to launch a pool. You know, right now to start a pool from nothing is very expensive. For most people, like if I was going to try and start a pool now, I wouldn't be able to get half as much ADA as I have now, because we all essentially got in quite early, and there's something to be said for that, you know, for starting. To go back to what you were saying before, James, it is actually quite, we do deserve to be rewarded on some level for starting the network and initially managing it. So I think it's kind of important that we make sure that together we do last for 4, 5, 10 years, you know, because we've almost earned a place in that respect, even though nothing's guaranteed in life. And it's not that we are owed that, but we have been willing to put the work in right at the start, you know, and I'm not one of those people really. Like most of you guys and the ITN guys, they're the ones who really did the work, and they also deserve to be successful off the back of that, you know.
It's not all doom and gloom. I think in 10 years, having a pool with 2 million ADA will be a big pool. We'll have 10,000, 20,000 pools. So
but the difference,
stay in, don't give up.
The trick is not letting other pools come in and absorb your market share over time, and then you just end up losing your pool. For me, I'm stubborn. I'm going to try and just rack up enough ADA to basically sustain my own pool at a really low level, and then if people can jump on, then that'd be great. But I mean, look at the group we have here. We have like a professional video editor. I know Andrew is like got a couple degrees in that. He's a movie maker, literally a movie maker. And you know, we've got you know, Stoic Pool. You've got a real great niche and people love you. You have a huge following. We have Alex, who's on the Testnet, a good developer. George, one amazing developer. Patience is here. I can't see him, but I know that he writes a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. And then Maria, you're huge in the community already, and I'm doing my best to try to promote and educate and actually bring in people from the business end. So, I mean, this is exactly what a team would look like, you know, where we have such a diverse group of people and we all just start promoting all of us all at once and say, hey, we're supporting the community. We're growing these pools. We're working as a team, and see if that synergistic effect that we saw with Pega and all those other pools when they would do stuff could help our pools grow as well. We're just not reaching enough people individually, but as a group, we're touching far more people, and we can promote for each other and grow and then support each other. You never know when, you know, one of us might be the biggest pool on the place, and, you know, we can help each other at that time. But together, you know, united we stand. I think when we break apart, I don't think we can survive. And not against professional marketers and large businesses, no way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And guys, by the way, that's why I encourage you to actually, once I publish this, to post it on your own channels as well.